Welcome to the Chain Out Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy and Darrell.
Hey everyone, that's right, it's the Chain Out Podcast, Season 2, Episode 62. I'm Jeremy. With me as always is your favorite co-host, this guy over here. Darrell, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic, Jeremy.
Yeah?
Yeah, feeling a little bit rough yesterday. Wasn't sure I was going to be on today, but you know, wild horses couldn't keep me away from this podcast.
You pulled through. You did tell me, you said, stay by your phone, Jeremy. You might be remote today. But no, you got better, and here I am.
We always say this. If I don't show up, this podcast doesn't happen.
No.
Because you wouldn't know how to broadcast it live from your phone, right? Because you've said it before. It will just be you and a phone.
Yes.
But do you know how to go live to YouTube and get everything else going?
Yeah, I probably do, but let's not test it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that could stop stuff, and I know we talk about this in the wintertime a lot of times, but just the craziness of the weather lately, doesn't matter whether you're playing in Alberta or if you're as far down as Florida, as I noticed with Paige Pierce's video, there's snow and cold all over the place. So I'll tell you, I worked hard. I got out there, played 9 holes. I know you don't feel that's legit, but played 9 holes, kept my U-Disc streak alive. So anybody else who is out there floating on a U-Disc streak, good job for keeping it alive. And I think you went out yesterday, did you?
Yesterday. I went out yesterday.
And
Excuse me, playing the first time I played Rundle Park for quite a while.
Okay.
Rundle Park, a local course in Edmonton. For some reason, we played it. Maybe it was because we played it so much in the summer playing league.
Yes.
That as soon as league ended, we just went to other courses and we just kind of never went back.
Yeah.
But yeah, got out there yesterday. It was super windy. I was looking at the weather thinking, okay, it's going to start warming up. And it was like 0 degrees. But then with the wind chill, it was minus 11.
Okay.
And it was just so windy. There was so many times where I had a putt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, nose down this putt. And I went to putt and it just went over the basket.
Really?
It was crazy. Yeah.
Well, I think you'd actually done a video and sent it to me, and the wind was just whipping behind you. You were showing me some of the flags they set up at the course, we think for trees, right?
Yeah.
And I was wondering, do you think that was comparable to what Sophia Donica, Juliana Korver, Taylor Chosick were playing down in New Zealand?
Yeah, exactly. If you got a chance to watch that coverage, that was some insane rounds that they were playing down there. Wasn't quite that bad.
Okay.
But if anybody has played, I know we got a few people in the chat that participate in Winter League. Mm-hmm. They may have noticed some new flags around basket 12, T-pad 7, going all the way to T-pad 10. Red and green flags. Now, the last time we saw flags meant that they were putting in trees.
Right.
And they did put in trees on that hole. So I want to know, if people have seen these flags, they're almost just off the tee pad, which will make hole 7, which is the long par 4,
right,
a bit more trickier. So, yeah.
Well, if it's
Excited
that would really give the course has some teeth now, not a ton, but it has some. But that would really change the what do you call that? The look of it, I guess, or the face of that course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'd be interesting. But when we're talking about U-Disc streak, the other thing I noticed when I was putting in my round was you can now have a U-Disc rating, of how you're rated. And they do two. They do one that's like a competitive rating, and one's just kind of your average over time, which I think is cool. And I'm wondering how that's going to compare to what your PDGA rating is. Like, it's a totally different number structure. It's like, your 188, your 200, your 167, that type of thing.
Right.
But it was something new that I noticed, and it'll be interesting to follow it.
Sure. I don't see it, but if you say it's there, I believe you. What else?
What else do we got? We got, of course, to tell you that we are happily sponsored this year by Cardinal Disc Golf. And I've got this lovely Cardinal jersey on of Miguel Alvarado. If you want one like this or something else, you can drop the code CHAINOUT on Cardinal's website.
I just found out.
Get 10% off.
Dylan says they're making a river, Shirley. They may be making a river, but don't call me Shirley.
That's that Rundle.
I've heard that our jerseys have now cleared customs.
Ooh.
So maybe by next week, we might be able to wear something different.
Yes. Yeah, that would be all right. So definitely check that out. We still have those 2 discs from the Gyropalooza box we're going to give to the first 2 people who order jerseys and use our code. And what's coming up after the show, Darrell?
After the show, we will be doing our Around the Basket episode 9, Jeremy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's coming up fast.
It is. Yeah, episode 9. We've been kind of going through our Patreon members. So this week we're excited to have Dina Talgoy, also known as Dina. I did that on purpose, Andrea. Dina Dies Discs.
Yes.
I can hear Dina or Andrea saying it under her breath already.
Yeah, and if you didn't watch last week's episode with Andrea, Darrell and I took our turns trying to say Andrea's full name, which is a mouthful, and we got rated.
Well, you go. Yeah. Do we want to tell everybody what our ratings were?
No, I think they can go look.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
See.
Go back and watch episode 8 of Around the Basket. It's on our YouTube channel. It's right at the beginning.
Yes.
I encourage you to watch the whole episode, but if you just want to find out who had the better pronunciation have I kind of given it away? Pronunciation of her full name. She is French Canadian, or she has a French Canadian name.
Yes.
It's quite long. One of us scored pretty good, the other one not so great. That's all I'll say. But moving on, Jeremy.
Yes.
That's what's coming up after this. About 15 minutes after we finish this episode, we'll be going live on our Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/chainout podcast, or maybe chain out. And the link is in the most recent post. Join us. We encourage the chat a lot more. We'll get comments and questions from the chat, and we invite them to join in a lot more than we do on this episode. Yeah. However, moving on, Jeremy.
Okay.
Speaking about that, we might be getting some mail. We're excited to get some jerseys coming.
Yes.
We did have a mail call this week.
Ooh.
We had one each.
I love the mail calls. What
do you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
You go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So my mail call is in a box.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, what do we got here?
So this is just for me.
Okay, just for you. You've already given me a disc. I got my Glow Mantra, my Alice Smith. What do you got?
So I'm going to... Oh, well, actually, there is something in here for you as well.
Ah.
But what I've got is the new Miss Frisbee's new Miss Chantal Badinsky stamp.
Look at that disc.
Yeah.
That's a good looking bear.
She has a new stamp out for this year. So I've got the postage stamp, the hot air balloon F7, I believe it was, behind.
Mm-hmm. This is a fractal something.
It's a fractal. I don't actually know what it is. I picked it out. I liked the color. Got her new stamp. Got her to sign it. So that's new.
That's awesome.
As we say, support Canadian. She had a new disc out. I had to buy it, even though it's Prodigy. Not holding out against her. Do you know what else that she has out?
What else does she have out?
She has a new goat towel, Jeremy.
No way. What she got out this year? I've got last year's, which is that beautiful rainbow lion that I've got on my Zuka cart there.
So this one.
Oh, look at that. A wolf.
I look at the colors.
Yeah.
Goat knows how to make towels. Miss Frisbee's new goat towel. You've got a Miss Frisbee's towel.
I do.
Now I've got a Miss Frisbee's towel.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's
Dina's
fantastic.
saying that she ordered a disc from her as well. So, and if that wasn't enough,
that's not all. There's more.
For every order,
yes,
she threw in signed.
What?
Brixton and
look at that.
I thought she might just give us one, but in the box, maybe she knew that they were coming to Chain Out Podcast.
Yeah.
She actually included
one for me.
Well, I guess I don't want
or
two.
Or one for a friend. Am I the friend?
There you go.
Oh, thank you. That's fantastic.
Signed Chantal Badinsky Brixton cards as well. So
thank you, Miss Frisbees, for adding that extra value. I benefit from Darrell's purchases. Yeah. I love it.
Now, do you want your mail call?
Oh, there's more?
That wasn't your. That was my mail call, but now you get a mail call.
All right, let's do it. Okay, here we go. I've got some mail here. Oh, I know what we got.
You know
here.
what it is.
All right, I've got myself my Cardinal disc golf case. Look at that. So
we ordered it all together. It finally came. It finally showed up at Cleared Customs. You've got your Cardinal disc golf iPhone case.
That'll be great. Now everyone will know I'm sponsoring it at all times. I'll always have Cardinal gear on me, even
there you go.
when I'm just walking around. That's great. All right, well, let's get to the guests tonight because we got quite the show.
Let's go.
Tonight's show is going to be about, dare I say, the biggest tournament of 2025, the Canadian Nationals. We're lucky enough to have two of the people putting this tournament together joining us tonight. The tournament director, Darrell Bankes, who Chain Out listeners will remember was on the podcast last year to talk both the Foxwood Open and the Innova Rip. And we also have tournament director Kevin Macleod joining us, and he's going to be his first time as a Chain Out guest. So why don't we welcome Darrell and Kevin to the show. Hey, guys.
How are you
How's it
doing?
going?
Good. Yeah.
Glad to have you here. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. Awesome. We've been so excited about looking at nationals, and the fact that the two of you can join us tonight to talk all about it. It's something I've been looking forward to. But I'm noticing something here, Darrell. When we were talking to you, you had said that you weren't going to be on Eastern time like you normally are. You were going to be on Central time, and things look a little different in your background today. That's not Haute where you are.
No, I'm not at Oakgoat this time of year. I took a little trip to go visit my mom and dad. They're staying down in Mexico, and I'm just visiting them this week to see how they're doing. They're getting pretty old, so you know, it's nice to spend some time with my parents when I can.
Yeah, you're looking you're looking very relaxed there. You're looking like you're enjoying the
I,
sun.
Yeah. Well, being
I
down
did
in
get a little sun this week.
Yeah.
and being down in Mexico there, and I know you'll be spending time with parents, but are you going to add some new courses to your collection of disc golf playing?
There's really nothing here. I'm down in the Baja Peninsula. There's one up in La Paz that Macbeth was associated with a couple years ago, and I think he put that one in, and I haven't made it up there yet. So,
Okay.
So
but I
are you?
did do my duty, and I'm scouting, trying to find a
Okay.
location down here that might work for a course. So, a little bit of work on the side here while I'm down, trying to
Did
take a
you
little
act?
break this
Did you
winter.
actually bring any discs with you? Is that a thing that every disc golfer does? They at least sneak a putter in for.
No, I only bring my Makani, which I've
Oh yeah,
spoken about the virtues of on this course. This is the one of the custom ones from Abbey Gardens,
nice.
Nice.
but I just played with the Makani on the beach, usually by myself since I'm alone here. So
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. And I guess we should ask Kevin, are you enjoying the hot sun and everything else out there in Ontario? How's it going for you?
This will probably make Darrow happy to know that it's like minus 20 here in Ontario, and no one's enjoying themselves at all.
Yeah.
People's cars aren't starting. It's a mess.
I am coming home tomorrow, Kevin. So I'll see you this weekend, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and
Well, it'll
the
be a
other
big
thing,
shock for you.
yeah, that's the one thing too, is always making sure to have some winter clothes when you get off the plane, and not just walking off with the sandals and shorts and thinking, yeah, I'll be fine to get to the car or just to take the shuttle. That never works out the way it's planned. So, and I think for all of our Albertan and BC fans and listeners and everything like that, is also realize when they say minus 20 in Ontario, with the humidity and such that's out there, it feels like minus 40 out here. I know that it rips right through you. So stay warm there, Kevin. That's what I got to say to you.
Yeah, I'm going to look like a wimp to the Albertans saying minus 20 is bad, but
There you go. Well, we're excited to have the two of you on. We want to talk nationals, and we figure we want to probably ask a bunch of questions, see how many you can answer, just mainly because a lot of people are interested in this tournament. I went to Clearwater last year, had a great time, and I encourage anybody who can to get out to nationals and play. So let's answer some of the basic questions. We've got some of the ones that might be burning on people's minds, but just starting with, when is nationals this year?
Well, it's that second week of September. I think 12th to 14th. Don't have the dates right in front of me. Um, yeah, it's that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in that time range. So yeah, it's a lovely time of year to be in our part of Ontario for sure. It's still hot like summer, and yet it dries up a bit. We usually get great weather all that spell. Just like it's the same weekend that we hosted the Rip this past year,
Okay.
and
Right.
that's we chose that specifically because it's in between the Discraft Great Lakes Open and the Green Mountain Championship, and that allows that rest week in between the two. Should any of the pros choose to come up and join us for a little bit of Canadian hospitality again.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
stuff.
you mentioned about the pros. Obviously, we had some pros come up last year. You were, hot on announcing them as they were ready to be announced. Obviously, I'm guessing you're not going to announce them right now, but is that still the plan to get some pros to come up to the Canadian Nationals?
Um, this will be a bit of a surprise. As a committee, there's 4 property owners involved in this. as a group, we've actually made the active choice to make this about the Canadian players mostly. We
Okay.
really
Good.
won't be trying to draw them in specifically. There might be a few extras that come over the border and, just decide because maybe they had a
Yeah.
good time last year and want to defend their Crokinole title. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But really, we want to make this about the Canadian experience. And this is the Canadian Championship this year.
Yeah.
And we're lucky enough to be hosting it, and we're given the privilege to, and we want to bring it really just for the Canadians is our goal.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you say that, I kind of got a bit of that feeling, and that's where we wanted to ask you is that when registration opens, it's opening on Groundhog Day, if I've got that right, February 2nd, and it's going to be open for Canadians only at the beginning. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So open for Canadians only, and then how long are you going to leave registration open just for Canadians there?
We probably should decide that, but probably just a week. It wasn't meant to be a really that exclusive thing, but more just a bit of a fun sort of gesture to Canadians to go, let's give the Canadians the first dibs at coming.
Yeah. I mean, it might not have been planned that way, but if you had said to me that was the plan and it was a good decision by everybody, then I would have thought that was a great thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And even too, we recently had Brian Henniger on the show, and that was a comment he brought up, and we'd heard echoed from other people in our discussions with disc golfers, was that how do you call it Canadian Nationals when there are people from other countries here, and then the other people from other countries are actually winning that tournament? And that's something we've just always been used to. But when there's a heavier focus on Canadians, that's great. Like having Sophia win last year, right?
Yeah.
First time in 9-10 years.
I think that was the reason why we had the discussion, because it was such a focal point that Sophia won, and she was the first Canadian to win FPO in, I think it was 7 years.
It was more. It was almost 10.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it was Elaine King who won it.
Elaine King,
yeah. But yeah, no, that's exciting. But when we were looking too, we saw one of the questions that was going to be on our mind was, how much is it going to cost to get into nationals this year? But we did see that that's just been recently posted on Disc Golf Scene. Looks like it's pretty much right in line with what nationals was last year, with $220 for the pros, $200 for the AMs, and then $180 for the juniors. So we saw that's out there. Was that important to you guys to try and kind of keep it at that level that everybody's expecting?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we want to, not stray too far from the norm. Now, Darrell's had some experience with the RIP, and we had the budget from that to use as our guide. So we had to tweak it a little bit. It's I think $20 more than the 2024 nationals, but I think for that amount, we can provide a lot of value and just run a great tournament that's improving upon every year. Just like every year, it seems to get better. Each tournament director learns from the previous year, and we're hoping that just continues.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I do like the idea of the nationals kind of moving back and forth. We saw for a while there, it was at PEI every year, and of course they had a great course, but then to see it come west last year, now go back east, I think that's a good way to really give everybody a chance to play it, so you're not always trying to have to fly to PEI. The Westerners can go east, then the Easterners can go west the next year. So I really appreciate that aspect of it for sure. Now,
are you guys hosting it next year?
Darrell, Chain Out Podcast hosts nationals. We would need a lot of help if we were going to attempt that. We got to get through our first C tier before we can ever get to nationals.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think from.
But when we do, you'll be the first one we call.
Yeah.
I'll sign up. I'd gladly come to a tournament I don't have to run.
Yeah.
So with that too, with it being across 4 courses, and that can afford to have probably more people than a tournament that's just at 1 or 2. Have you guys kind of have an idea how many spots will be open for registration, or how many registrations you would take?
So like you said, having the 4 courses really gives us flexibility there. We're hoping that when the days come, we don't have to pack people in too tightly. One of the complaints often is that the scheduling just didn't work. So we're hoping once we figure out the numbers in each division, we can, do a good job at spreading everyone out and making sure that it flows well for everyone.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we noticed that the divisions all open up at the same time for Canadians. That there isn't any registration for the less represented divisions. Was that a conscious decision? Or is it something that's still going to be announced?
The truth is, we just have the volume. We can host a lot of people. With 4 properties. We can run upwards of 140 people per course per day.
Yeah.
And that's not really taxing the tee times that are available to us in, sunrise to sunset. Not that we're starting at sunrise, but, reasonable timeline. With the experience we had at the RIP last year, we were cleanly ran through 140 players in very reasonable tee times, and everyone was done at, 6 o'clock. So if you think of numbers like that, that's 560 players. Okay. And Nationals has never had 560. So if we push the limit and run that many on each property, we would love to host that many people. We'd love to have that many of you come across and join us for the week in Canada, week here in Ontario, and enjoy the whole scene. 500 people playing disc golf in Ontario. That'd be awesome.
Do you have any projected number that you're looking at? Like, is there a goal number that you're thinking, okay, if we get this amount, it'll be a good tournament, but anything over that is a bonus?
When you're running something like this, you never know how many people will sign up. That's the big fear. That's kind of why it's good to have registration early, because, a lot of things have to change in your planning depending on how many people sign up. So the sooner you can figure out the numbers, the sooner you can start planning for, little things like what size of tents to get. How are we gonna host 400 people on maybe 3 different locations instead of 1 for the first night party. You need time to decide those things. So hopefully registration goes quickly. We can get a good feel, get excited about it, and just start rolling with all the good ideas we have.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point, Darrell. And we've never actually run a tournament, as we've said, yet. But one of the things one of the things you think about with that is that a lot of people are like, yeah, I'll just register. I'll make a decision last minute. But that's probably the thing a tournament director does not want. If you could have everyone register and fill it up within a week of registration opening, that probably gives you guys a much better timeline to set up the best tournament possible. Am I correct in saying that?
I mean, that's obvious. It's kind of like throwing a party and worrying if your guests are going to come. We all have a little anxiety about it, and we want people to come and play. It's there's a lot going on with 400 people showing up. We'd love to get to that number. I think 440, 480 would be stellar.
Yeah.
But we do need to plan ahead. We do need to have an idea of what the budget is. Once the budgets are in line, we know what the cost per units on things are. It's really valuable for us to have people sign up early. I mean, I just opened registration for another tournament, and I'm thrilled that I have 70 people already signed up for it, and there's only space for 80, but I'll be thrilled if just the 70 come. And, that gives us the freedom to now go, okay, let's do something fun. Let's add a little extra to it. We know we have enough people coming to make it enjoyable. So, that's it.
Yeah, like Jeremy said, it's one of those things that people, as a player, you just don't realize your late registration, how that affects everything that has to go on in the background. So,
like, you're always happy to have us there, but if we know, then commit.
Yeah.
When we were looking at,
keep in mind, there's people have to plan this one. Except for the core group that's in Ontario that can maybe drive from their homes.
Right.
But, people need to book accommodations. They got to find a hotel. There's tons of great rentals and, properties and campgrounds all within the area. We'll be sharing some details on that, but generally, it's so easy to find out all that information now. We're in a very much a tourism heavy area, so there's tons of accommodations and fun things, but everyone still has to plan and have some fun and take time off work.
Yes.
It's a Friday tournament. You have to come play. And if you're from away, you want to come practice. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
you may want to come in on Monday and, get 3 days of practice in and have some fun. And, and also enjoy Toronto and go see a Blue Jays game or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you've never been to a Major League Baseball game, going to a Jays game is awesome in the Dome for sure. So if we can, just one more thing on the registration that I had a question up here was I noticed something different that I haven't seen before. And it looks like MPO is a minimum of 935 to get in. And was that mainly to try and up that competition level at MPO, or what was the thoughts behind that? Because I haven't seen that at any of the tournaments we've done out here.
Oh, we've been using that standard a fair bit in Ontario.
Okay.
935 is not really an extreme level to be put at, to consider MPO. Heck, I'm a 933, and I'm not playing that well. So it's, it does prevent people from just signing up for that. It does make the competition fair, a little more controlled in that group. It's at least it's a starting point if we feel there's, no one signing up because of that, but there are enough 930 and above rated players in Canada, and that we shouldn't have a problem filling that field. And, keep in mind, we do have USDGC spots on the line.
Right,
so, we may get a couple of pros trying to come up from the States that want to try and snag those spots and, claim Canadian championship. Touch back on that idea of we want to make it Canadian focused, but every other national championship in the world pretty much has international players showing up for it in all the different sports that are going on in the planet. And, that sometimes does happen. So, but, I think it'll be good fun. I think we're going to have lots of pros sign up.
Nice.
Yeah. Just something that we've never, like I said, I'm the same as you. I've never seen a 935 level on any competitions that we enter out here in the West. So maybe it's just
we're never entering MPO.
No,
either.
but we would look in the registration. But maybe it's an East Coast thing. Who knows?
Yeah,
but it makes sense for sure.
And Darrell, you mentioned the USDGC spot. I think last year there was also there were some throw pink spots as well. Is there any other things like that are being offered for this event?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. But there will be
throw pink spots. Oh, absolutely. The throw pink and the USDGC spots.
Okay.
It's an odd time of year to perhaps incorporate the NADGT qualifier for the amateurs, like we do with the Foxwood Open this way. But, you're competing for the Canadian Championship. That's a ton.
That's more than enough.
Exactly.
Just ask Thomas and Sophia.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, the one thing that I'm really excited about, we wanted to tap into a bit, was the courses that are going to be played, because people who are out in the West really don't realize how lucky you guys have it out in Ontario and just the plethora of great courses. And you guys have picked 4 gems from everything we can see. So if you don't mind, we want to go through a few of them, just throw some stuff at us, whet our appetites, get us excited. And why don't we start with, I'll name them first. Hey, Darrell?
Go for it.
Okay, so we got Haute, we got Project 15, we got Newcastle and Cedar Creek. Starting with Haute, ranked number 3 in Ontario on the 2024 UDisc when I just checked. Tell us a little bit about Haute. Where is it located, Darrell? What can you tell us about it that's going to get us excited?
I mean, Haute a fabulous venue. It's a agritourism property. So it is a goat farm, and the bulk of the business is people come in to experience farm life, hang out with goats, alpacas, all kinds of other animals. There's a restaurant on the property. There's accommodations on site if someone's keen and wants to stay in one of the domes that we have on our property for rent.
Yeah.
It's a 200-acre old tree farm. So when you start looking at the photos of the property, you'll sort of see these formations of trees where we just have these fabulous rows of trees. And a lot of the course weaves through these rows, and it creates a thing. And, It's in an area that are like the rolling hills north of Lake Ontario, so there's a great amount of topography change. But the nicest thing about the place is it's an active venue where people come all the time. So the restaurant's open, it's a liquor license, it's got you can get beers. The course is fully licensed, so we can have beer carts out on the course. It really creates a special experience, and the property owners love what they do, and they do it as a passion project. The whole property is a passion project, from disc golf to goats to some of the products and the food they offer. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a lovely spot, and it's a great course.
And it'll also be Tournament Central this year. Is that what I saw as well?
That will probably be the bulk of Tournament Central. Players are scattered across 4 properties for 5 days if they come to practice a fair bit, or maybe 6. Mm-hmm. But the 3 tournament days. But Oak Goat, because it's set up as such a public venue, we host concerts and music festivals at the property. So we can have 400 people on site, and it works. Like, it's not an overly complicated. It's a business. It's a commercial property that derives its revenue from people showing up on site and having a good time. So
nice.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so it will be for the after event. We'll get into the after and the schedule stuff after. Let's talk.
Courses.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about NDG and Cedar Creek. Kevin can speak to those.
Yeah, we'll get to those ones right away. One more thing I wanted to throw out there with Haute Goat was, of course, the RIP was held there last year. Gannonburr comes up and he does Gannonburr things and just has a great time out on the course. Rebecca Dawn goes out on the FPO side, shows everyone how it's done, and shows that she's going to be not going to be Darrell, right? She's already a force to be reckoned with in the disc golf world. So that was exciting, and we would tell everyone, if you want to hear Darrell, your take on it when you as tournament director, and then also Rebecca Dawn's FPO win side of it, you can go back to our episode 44 where we did a recap of the RIP. But my question to you, Darrell, was last year you said when we talked to you, we're going to make this course a little bit tougher. We're going to try and stretch it out a bit, try and give Gannon some challenges in the other pros that came up. And I know a lot of people were challenged, and then some weren't as much. Have you gotten any advice from those pros that maybe might help it for this year?
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of feedback from them after the tournament and a little bit before, and from some of those videos that like Aaron Gossage did and a couple of the other guys put together. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're stretching out. Hole 16 is going to turn into a full par 5. Some people will recall we had an old green when the course was in a different layout. So that's going to be a lot longer. We got a plan to change hole 5 into I think it's turning into a par 5. And we're rerouting that entire thing, and it's going to become a much more woodsy hole. There's a whole bunch of woods we aren't using in that corner. And hole 8, I think when Gannonburr did a jump putt up to the 8th green after launching a drive, I just went, huh. So we cleared out the next field and decided we're going to push the green up to another 150 feet further. So we're going to eliminate that issue. And there's a couple other little tweaks we're going to try. And I was a little disappointed they were throwing over the top on hole 10. So we're thinking of adding another Mando, but I don't want to do any more Mandos, so I want to try something else. But we're stewing about it.
Yeah, forced Mandos always just seem like you're, I don't want to say too lazy, because I don't think lazy is the right word, but you're just putting something in place that's not natural just to say, well, I don't like the way you're doing it. You have to go this way, the way that I tell you to go do it, sort of thing. So they always seem kind of, not fake, not lazy, but they just, unless it's an actual tree or a wall or, whatever, like a natural thing that's there that obviously, or danger, obviously, we see that Mandos obviously sometimes split fairways and things like that, but I'm not a big fan of Mandos if there's no real need for them.
I mean, I'll argue that one with you another day. But
yeah, I was going to say I'm biting my tongue.
There are some fabulous Mandos in disc golf that make the holes amazing, right?
Yeah.
You've got like the classics, hole 7 at the USDGC, going through the bamboo wall. Yeah, one of the greatest holes in disc golf, right? provided some of the greatest experiences. That's a triple Mando. It's a
Yeah,
challenge. There are so many great examples of those, you know.
Yeah.
we'll have to discuss this another time then, because I'm not a fan of that bamboo.
That sounds like a great around the basket topic.
See, now I think, yeah, exactly. We'll talk
Okay,
about
we'll
that.
talk
Yeah,
about
we'll
that
talk about that later.
But yeah, Haute Goat, we've heard about it before. You can listen to it on our other episodes there. But Kevin, if we want to get to Newcastle, what can you tell us about that course?
So Newcastle is actually only about 10 minutes from Haute Goat.
Okay.
We designed it on a ball golf course. For years, I looked around for a property to try and build a course, just to keep myself busy, I guess. And one day I was just driving by Newcastle, and I'd already sort of pre-looked at it from Google satellite pictures, and found out that they have a lot of property between the ball golf fairways.
Okay.
So this is unique. If you go most places, the fairways run back and forth. There's no room, but Newcastle Golf Course is a beautiful course. Tons of woods off to the side, and we've kind of made our course go through the woods. You're not on a golf course. You don't feel like you're on a golf course,
Right.
because you're right in amongst their fairways.
Okay.
Or you never, people come and they're always shocked, like, I knew this was on a golf course, but I don't see the golfers. You rarely see them. There's only one hole where we tee off from the same place as the golfers.
Okay.
It's kind of our test hole to see if ball golfers and disc golfers can get along. And
So
for
far,
the most part, they can. But of course, there's an occasional argument as to who's going to shoot first and so on,
yeah.
and that. But yeah, it's a very it's not as long as the other three courses, but very challenging, very tight. A few Mandos here and there. Yeah, I guess we have longs and shorts, but there'd be nothing that really the pros would be able to throw full arm with. So we'll probably be handling most of the amateurs and so on, and the pros can battle it out on Cedar Creek and Project 15 and Haute Goat, and throw as much as they want, right?
Right.
And that's a great point to make, that maybe the holes aren't as long, because that gives, everybody needs to be challenged, but they need to be challenged at the skill level that they're at. So with some of those AM divisions, having a course that's not has 1,000-foot par fours or 1,000-foot par fives is probably a better thing. And I know I went on to UDisc and saw some of the pictures in Newcastle, and I was like, wow, like the photos that are up there, it looks good. It seemed like every time I went to one of these courses and looked at the photos, it just got better and better, or it never dipped. It was always up at this high level.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And you answered our one question just to see how that blend of golf and disc golf was working, but it sounds like it's, aside from that one hole at maybe a few tee offs, it's working just perfectly. Yeah, and another advantage there is, we got the beer cart that's going around for the ball golf
Right.
players, we call it. So you can take advantage of that, where the whole property's licensed as well, and they have a nice clubhouse there, so we have those facilities in place. And I sort of say we're shorter. I mean, we've had tournaments there. We have the Forefathers tournament every year, and we get some top-notch players, and they still struggle to score on the course, even though it's on the shorter side of things.
Yeah. It can be short as long as it's technical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It can be challenging even if it's short.
For sure. So if we've got that one covered, then whichever one of you guys wants to tell us a little bit about the next course, which we've got listed here, is the Cedar Creek disc golf course.
Yeah, so I'll talk about Cedar Creek there. So Cedar Creek is over my ability. I'm probably similar in skill to you guys. We probably have a good round together.
You're not that bad.
Yeah, I might be. But yeah, it's long. It's a good mix of open sort of fairways and then tight forest holes as well. But yeah, the long ones, they're long. I find that often they got some tight fairways, then it opens up at 400 or so, and and for someone of my skill, it's very difficult to hit that. So I'm trying to hit a narrow stretch, but yeah, it's perfect for players that kind of have a bit bigger arm to challenge themselves.
Okay.
Right.
I kind of was seeing that too when I was on Udis there. It's rated 4.7 right now. It's got over 151 ratings, and people always in the comments, they're praising it as a championship level course. And that's one of those things. Like, so now we got like 3 amazing courses, but that's not all.
Yeah.
We've also got Project
15.
15 out there. That's Gabe Robinson's course, and we're going to have him on the show this year. We talked to him a lot. He supports the show as well. But and we'll get deep diving into Project 15 with him when he's on there. But what can you guys tell us about P15?
P15 is a gorgeous property. That is it's north of Peterborough a little bit, so you start getting up into the transitional landscape between the limestone outcroppings and the granite of the Canadian Shield.
Right.
So he's got this. Probably was farmed at one point a long time ago. Probably not effectively. It has parts of the property that were an old gravel pit, so it's creates some very unique terrain. But the majesty of the property is the quality of the woodlot. It's a fabulous hardwood forest. Many of the holes are weaving their way through the forest with some giant trees. Big rocks out there. And then it's also, it's blessed with these, a whole bunch of lovely rock walls that are stretched throughout the property. And, one of the main features are these big giant juniper bushes that occupy, the space of a couple vans parked next to each other in spots. And they kind of function as these natural bunkers in places along the course.
Right.
No, it's a really unique experience, and to get up there in September, it's a gorgeous time of the year to be there. And and I know Gabe works tirelessly on the property. And there's a bunch of people going out to help him out with that, and it's a lovely spot. He's going to have that groomed up, and like everybody is, like all 4 property owners are. Well, they're the people that are owning and managing the properties and are doing their best to create a marketable disc golf experience for everybody.
Yeah.
And
it's nationals. So, it has to be at the highest level, right?
It has to be as good as you can pull off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, we've got 4 professional in that way. Like we're all trying to make a bit of a, they're pay to play properties, every single one of these. And,
exactly.
And that's different than most tournaments that are being held out there at this scale.
We're not talking local dink and dunk courses here. We're talking championship level courses. And I know I've seen on Gabe's Instagram that he's posting that he's redesigning. The one that I saw, he's redesigning hole 10. I'm not familiar with the course, but, it just goes to show that they're always, all of you're always maintaining the course, tweaking it wherever you can, trying to make it the best that it's going to be.
That's one of the lucky things about private land ownership, is the fact that the owners or the people that manage the properties can continually go back and keep making, incremental improvements.
Yeah.
And, it's not necessarily, it's not this situation where you have to go to the city hall, go to the parks department and double check that everyone's okay with it and get everything approved. A lot of us
cut down a tree
and go, oh, that didn't work. Let's get rid of that. Let's move that. Let's move that basket up 4 feet. It'll be better 4 feet ahead. So.
Yeah.
Well,
and we're on Newcastle there. We don't have the same flexibility necessarily as other courses. We are guests on the property, and we've kind of, we want to keep a low profile out there. And so we do have some changes coming, but often I find, you make changes and then you have people arguing about whether they preferred it the way it was or whether they like the new one. And it's, I've learned quickly that you can't make everyone happy, but you do want to make a lot of people happy, right? And it's even having that debate as to whether they prefer it before or prefer it now is, at least they're talking about it and having fun arguing about it.
Yes. Yeah. And I think when the arguments come along and they say, oh, I don't like it, it's tougher, then you're actually on the right track, because they must have learned their local line and just like trying to lace it and hit it every time. Sometimes you got to step out of your lane and try something new, and that's the best way to do it, a new basket position or something like that. But now, guys, I'm going to give you the burning question here now, because we don't see it on the website. It's not there. Where the heck are we playing? How do we know what courses we're going to play? I don't see anything listed. Am I going to get a chance to play all 3 courses? I'd love it to be a 4-round tournament and play all 4 courses.
Yeah.
But what is it looking like, and when are we going to find that out?
Well, it becomes something that's going to be very dependent on the registration. We really can't specify who plays on what courses until we know how many of each level of player show up. We're lucky enough that all of the courses have enough diversity that a fair bit of differentiation in the layouts that we're going to offer can will allow us to, appeal to all the different levels of play. And we have all the different levels of play coming. It's whoops, your pod fell out. From MA3, we got the youngest juniors coming out to play. We've got the most senior players. So this isn't about creating a great championship level course, really. This is about creating 12 different courses or 12 different layouts, probably 2 to 3 at least at each property that people can play on. So it really will be dependent. We're leaning towards the idea of everyone playing 3 unique courses, but there's still some discussion to be had about that. We're probably going to be seeking some input.
Okay.
So it's still
more
still
to come.
A bit up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Unfortunately, you just can't specify it at this point.
Yeah, it seems a bit weird if you're signing up for registration, but you're waiting to find out what course you want to play. Like, out of the 4 courses, even if you got to play 2 of the 4 courses, would that stop you signing up?
No.
Because you're going to go there for practice days anyway. So there's nothing stopping you heading over to one of the other courses to say that you've, if you're one of those people that want to check it off your UDisc, get an extra course on your map, then there's nothing stopping you heading over to one of those other courses to play. If you're only playing 2 out of the 4, those 2 courses are still championship level high courses.
Yeah.
It's interesting that this
4 of
is
the courses are rated 4.7 or above on UDisc with many, many ratings. So you can't really go wrong. All of the courses you play, even though it's only 3 out of 4, you're gonna love them. Are you going to be disappointed that you couldn't play the 4th? Probably. But hopefully, like you said, they get out there early. They can practice that one. Even though they're not playing it, they get a chance. The amateurs can get out there and play that one. But you're going to be happy with everything you play, but disappointed that you couldn't do all 4. But unfortunately, you just can't fit all 4 in.
And that's saying that there's one course that you want to play and you're being assigned to those other 3. There still might be a chance that in your specific division, you might play the 3 courses that you want to play. We're looking at this as in a kind of a negative that, I don't get to play all 4, but you might get to play all 3 courses that you want to play.
Yeah.
So just the way it works out, you might be, don't think that you're not going to play the 4 courses that you want to play.
Well, and I think if I can add to that too, is just as we were talking about and kind of reviewing through each one of those courses, you're not going to play much better courses than that in Canada, at least not all in the same area. So to go to one spot and to be within 20 minutes of 4 amazing courses and you're hitting 2 or 3 of them or hitting multiple layouts on the courses. Yeah. Like I'm already excited for it, and I think everyone should, but I know everyone also is itching to know what they're going to play, because they're going to be looking at pictures. They're going to be looking at the layout on UDisc. They're going to be starting to say, how can I recreate that one at my own home? I mean, am I going to do that? No. So, well, guys, one of the other questions that I have, and this kind of ties into what I experienced at last year's Nationals, was I was lucky enough to tee off, the MA40 group teed off right after the FPOs. I got to watch the 3 cards tee off, follow them for a few holes. They played the same layout also as the MA2 group. And in speaking to FPOs on the podcast and such, one of the things that they made it really clear to us was that they want to have a layout where they've been talked to, where they've been consulted, something that lines up with their skill level, not just an extension of another group's layout. So when we've got people like Colleen, Chantel, Sophia, Rebecca, and the other Canadian FPOs, are you guys kind of working with them and consulting with them on what their courses and layouts will look like for nationals?
Well, I mean, we do plan to consult with quite a few people. We've already got Carl Forbes, whose son Nico, most of you probably know.
Oh, yeah.
Carl's volunteered to kind of be our junior lead on the overall for the week. I've reached out to one of our regional FP40 FA1 level players, hoping to see if she'll come out and help with double checking some of our layouts. I'm lucky enough that we'll probably have some of our other good FPO local players like Rebecca and Alex Paletta. They're coming around often enough. So once we get into that layer of adjusting and figuring out what the layout should be, we'll be able to adjust that for the FPOs. But the truth is, like, we've got, what's the number? I think we have 26 divisions. So, like you said, I'm not putting an FA3 crowd onto an FPO layout.
Right.
They probably just won't have that much fun. And, you know, especially in these landscapes that are a bit harder. So that's, you know, it's all going to be worked out. We do plan to get some input. I mean, it's a necessary thing. But we've also got 4 course owners that are very used to running lots of events on all their properties and always have other people helping out with the events, you know, for the most part, and getting some input in that. This one's different. You know, it's going to be 400 to 500 people coming.
Yeah.
And you're kind of trying to cater to a diversity of people. I mean, at the RIP last year, really only had 2 levels of play to deal with. And yes, in another world, we might have had another FA1 layout and an MA1 layout. But part of the charm of the tournament was this idea that everyone was going to get to compare themselves against the best players in the world.
Right.
And, you know, and that was a little bit of the fun and the shtick we used to sell the idea to amateur, to the FA1 and MA1 crowd. Go, you know, see how good you are. But this is not the point of this tournament. This is going to be, we need to provide layouts that suit an FA70 player.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully we're going to have some, you know, and we need to figure out what does that mean? I mean, you know, so we're going to have to consult with some people, get some input. And, you know, I heard some horror stories about Worlds this past year where, you know, it was so hot and some of the men were out there playing that I talked to, and the older guys, and they're like, they were struggling in the heat and on the length of some of the courses, you know, so there is a bit of balance that needs to make sure we meet that target.
Yeah. Through just going back through all the TDs that we spoke to previously this year, and then speaking to the likes of you and Carrie Neal as well, you don't realize as a player how much coordination and planning that goes into this tournament. If it's just one tournament, now you've got this major tournament over 4 courses, like you said, with so many divisions, 400 to 500 people, you know, showing up. We appreciate that we might be asking you these questions and you don't know the answers to them, but it's questions that we want to know the answer to. You know, we know they're on other people's minds as well. So yeah, we appreciate there's a lot of planning that goes into it. Speaking of planning, last year, one of the primary draws to the Innova RIP was the course and the players that were going to play. But aside from that, you also had the extra draw, the extra activities that went on that kept everybody busy. Is that something that's going to be happening? You know, is that things that people can look forward to after their round is done in the evenings as well?
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff on the works. Tracy Boards, last year, the Crokinole tournament supplier, he's offered to come and do it 2 nights in a row this year with us.
Yeah, we've seen that.
So we're hopefully going to have a 2-day event, and then, you know, we're still working out the details. Probably going to, you know, try and have a championship on the second night where the winner of the first night plays the winner of the second night, that type of thing.
Right.
So, where we're hoping to get as many people as possible through and fit it into that tournament. And then on both those nights, at the moment, we're still planning to have the Glow Wombat Challenge again.
Cool.
So a glow in the dark tournament on Friday and Saturday night. And those will be 2 live nights going on at Haute Goat. That's the idea at the moment. I'm in discussions with Disc in the Dark, which some of you may know out of the US. They're hopefully going to either come up and support the glow in the dark part of the tournament or supply us with a bunch of the great sort of runway lighting and all the fun things that they seem to pull off on there. They've been going from tour stop to tour stop over the last couple of years, and they're an online retailer. So, we've connected with them, and hopefully they're going to come. We're trying to plan another sort of entry, first start of the tournament day on the Thursday.
Okay.
We're planning to run a putting contest, the Canadian Championship Putting Contest. Jack Coney, who runs the East End Putting League. That's a Toronto thing. It's a well-run putting league. He's helping out a little bit to get that thing initiated, and that'll require a little team of people to manage that. And we're hoping people get to conceptually enter that as they play at each course each day, either before their round or after their round, or during the practice rounds. We'll get some qualifiers, and then we'll have on that Friday and Saturday night some sort of continuation of that.
Right.
What other fun ideas have we got? Josh Sachs, another local podcaster, and does some videos and stuff. He's been tasked in trying to help out with trying to figure out a way to create some regional rivalry, where we're trying to figure out a point and scoring system that, just because Ontario sends 100 players doesn't mean they're automatically going to win it. Right.
Okay, good.
The West and the Middle and the Ontario and Quebec and maybe the Maritimes, whatever the heck that is, we're still figuring that out. We're trying to figure out a point system where, different things get evaluated. And at the end of the tournament, we could go, the guys from the Prairie sent a whole bunch of people and they won, right? Or whatever.
Right.
So we're not sure. We're not certain how that's panning out. We're trying, but it's early.
Yeah.
As some of the comments are, how come we got to sign up 7 months ahead of time? And it's like, guys, Kevin, all us volunteers, like this is a volunteer type of program,
right?
To organize and plan all this.
Yeah. And you mentioned his name earlier, Nico Forbes. When we interviewed him, he mentioned that it was part of his strategy was when you went to the Fly Mart that you had last year. He had a strategy. He went to find out what he wanted and then worked his way back to think, okay, what do I have to trade up to get to what I want? So you had a Fly Mart last year. You're planning on having a Fly Mart again this year as well?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Good.
Nice.
So
take some tips
hopefully
from...
bigger than last year's and a few more people coming.
No matter what you want, take some tips from Nico. That kid knows what he wants.
Oh man, most well-spoken, one of our best well-spoken guests,
Juniors,
I would say.
Yeah.
Like it was fantastic having him on the show. Darrell and Kevin, another thing too, I wanted to let you know, if you hadn't seen it already, I think it's on Canadian Disc Golf Hub. One of our good buddies, Miles Ladder, he put up a post there about what do you want out of a nationals tournament. And we chimed in, and a lot of other people did with thoughts and stuff we've had. So you've already got a great list of ideas here. But if you're looking for more, I think there was probably 20 comments of different things people were asking for, right down to some people just saying, you know what, I'm there to play disc golf. I really don't care what else you do. So you get everything from that to ideas of what they'd like to see when they get there, from karaoke to you name it.
Everybody's got something they like.
Karaoke is something I would like to see, and that might work. Especially Oak Goat has the space for that, and that could be a fun thing.
Yeah.
Are you going to be first on the mic, Darrell?
I'll hopefully last. I'll need a couple beers before I sound
exactly
at least good to myself.
How about you, Kevin? Are you up? Maybe a Darrell Kevin duet there, or what do you think?
Maybe get Gabe in as well.
That's my biggest fear, is having to sing in front of people. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep it away from you then. We won't worry about that part there.
Maybe you two want to host that part of the event.
Well, you know what?
There you
We
go.
are going to be there.
There you
for
go.
a number of
Don't
days.
give him ideas.
Don't get me started.
Chain out karaoke.
Love it. Yeah, we'll chain you out
We've
if
already
you're not
started.
singing well.
Anything but Taylor Swift.
Oh, come on. Then I'm
Better write that one
Then
down.
he's out. Yeah.
No, good stuff. Another part about it that I was wondering is with the pros and with us trying to focus on them and really give them their due and to celebrate their part of the game. When it comes down to that last day, have you guys maybe thought of considering staggering some starts and trying to get the pros? I know they want to get out of there, but if they started a little later, then a lot more people could kind of get to the end of their round and maybe catch those last 9 holes or maybe those last 5 holes. Is that something you've thought of?
We're definitely going to try and plan for that. So if we end up with, depending how the numbers distribute, we might be able to, push some of the pro finishes till later in the day. But keep in mind, with 4 properties, there's a chance that the MP40 crowd could be wrapping up their tournament at Cedar Creek, and
Right.
someone else is wrapping up at, you're going to have champions declared at all 4 properties on Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, as people come off the course.
Right.
So, but such logistical timing is obviously something we want to have.
Yeah.
People
Yeah, I
want to
think-
see that. They'd love to come out and watch the last 6, 9 holes, like you said, and create a bit of fanfare and gallery for people coming in. So,
That's right. Well, I think when that MPO and that FPO lift that trophy, the more people around to cheer, and that just starts to bring more interest and excitement. I hope we're going to have coverage this year. I know Park Pro has done the coverage the last couple of years. Can we expect them to be out there this year too?
that's a big debatable question.
Okay.
It's just sorry to, one of the issues is that it's an expensive part of the budget.
Right.
Yeah.
These are tournaments that are basically funded by the players. Your entry fee fundamentally covers the bulk of the cost of the tournaments. We do have sponsorship from companies, but there's a lot of expenses associated with running tournaments across 4 different properties and, some of the things that you need. So we're still debating it. Part of the problem is, realistically, it's just the value of the coverage cost and sometimes what you get out of it in the end. Just how often these things are viewed and seen, and it's not easy to video across 3 different properties and the like. So, it's up for discussion. We're going to have to see how that pans out in the end. So, yeah, that's, again, one of these things that still needs to be figured out.
TBD.
Yeah. And that's okay, because at least, you know what, when people have been asking these questions, even if the answer is to be determined, at least it's an answer. At least we got something to expect and to watch for there. Now, earlier you guys mentioned you set a picture up on Disc Golf Scene of where the 4 courses are and the kind of triangle or cone shape that it makes there. 3 of them quite close, Project 15 a little further. So for people like us and people out in the East, if they're going to come out to Ontario, what are your suggestions for places to stay, or where's the, are there certain areas that are better than others to be close to the action?
So yeah, it might change. It depends on people's willingness to move. I mean, Peterborough is kind of central to all of them. But it's farther from the 3 that are south.
Right.
So you might find some people are staying when they're playing Project 15. They might stay in Peterborough, and then the next night they might move more down to Bowmanville or Port Hope for their hotels.
Right.
It's really going to change depending on which courses they're playing, where they want to stay. Some people might want to be camping. There's options like that around. It'll be, because it is a little bit farther north. It will require people maybe just driving in the morning, getting up a bit earlier, driving there, and then coming back to their hotel. It's going to be kind of a personal choice for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, tell us how we did, Kevin, because
Well,
we've already. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Darrell. I see you putting your hand there.
yeah, no, like the fact is, like, it's a whole tourism area. Any of the driving people are doing is along non-busy highways. You're not in a congested area. It's country roads for the most part. Um, to give an idea, like if I live in Peterborough, I can access the three courses south of Peterborough. They're all about 40 to 45 minutes away from me.
Okay.
And from Peterborough up to Gabe's property, Project 15 is really only about 35 minutes.
Okay.
So, I've been recommending to people that if you stay in Peterborough and go a little bit of further south, also depends what type of vacation you want. There's a there's a lot of people coming to this tournament just to have a vacation and have some fun, and not necessarily thinking they're going to go home with the Canadian Championship. Part of
Yeah.
it is just the enjoyment of doing a disc golf holiday, a destination experience of this sort.
Yeah.
So some of those people may go, it's important for me to stay on the lake. I want to go fishing every morning. I want to have a coffee on the dock. And they're
Yeah.
willing to drive an extra 24 minutes every morning. They got nothing else to do. Get up, go play disc golf. Everyone's only playing one round a day. So
Yes.
it
Yeah.
will be plenty of time to go experience everything else in our area. Go fishing, the salmon run this time of year in our area.
Yeah.
And that's fun to see. The lakes are all warm enough for swimming. So if you wanted to come and stay on a cottage lake, do it. And
Yeah.
just suffer out the extra 20 minutes of driving. I mean, I would do that if I was traveling out to BC or something. And,
Right.
I'd
for
go, I
sure.
want to stay something beautiful. I want to be able to, experience something I haven't before. So,
I think that was what we were kind
that's,
of mainly getting at is like what the distances were between the courses. And you kind of nailed it there by saying
45.
if you're kind of central, half an hour to 45 minutes.
And we'll tell you, if anybody
to
who's
be
out
honest, some
west.
people could stay downtown Toronto.
Yes.
Like, if you wanted to come and, if you've never been to Toronto and you want to come and stay downtown Toronto, okay, well, just get up 30 minutes before everyone else has to that day. You know, Oak Goat, Cedar Creek, and Newcastle are, if you're downtown Toronto, barely an hour outside of Toronto.
Gotcha.
Right.
And so, you could go, I'm going to go stay at downtown. I want to see what city life is like in the big city. I'm just saying, like, this isn't
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
lots of options.
as much as it seems like these are far apart, these landscapes aren't that big.
No, exactly.
And most of these people are traveling across the country to come here. So
Some people hopefully might be committing to the parties a little bit more than others, and so they may want to be closer to their hotel.
Yes.
So they're a quick Uber drive there. Right?
Gotcha. For sure. Well, we can tell you too, there's lots of differences between Ontario and Alberta. One of the things too at this time, and I don't think it's quite then, you can tell us, but when the leaves start changing there's so many great maples and they change green and yellow and orange and red. We just get green and yellow. That's one thing. But the other thing about living out west is that for us to go to our next major city being Calgary, it's a 3.5 hour drive. For us to go to the mountains, it's a 4 hour drive. So for us, 45 minutes, that's some of our commutes to work. Like that's,
Yeah.
it's not really that big of a deal for anybody coming from out west. So we're pretty excited. And tell us how we did. Darrell and I have already booked VRBO, and we're booked in Newcastle. And we figured, you know what, sitting there, we're pretty much in the middle of those three courses, and we can do the hike if we're up to P15. Do you think we did a good choice?
Yes, that's a great choice.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That's as close
are
as
you
you can
guys in
get to
town?
Yeah, we're in the city, just on the edge.
Oh, that's a cute little town. A couple good restaurants, great little pub. Yeah.
I'm sold.
And it's
good.
also got a little
as
marina,
Kevin
does
said,
it? I was
You
saying,
So it's got a what?
Oh,
does it have a little marina or something there too? Is it close enough to the lake or?
Yeah, there's a marina down there.
Okay.
If you want to go down there, you're close enough to see the lake. It's Lake Ontario, so it's just a giant lake. But there's some nice pathways along it and so on. So, yeah,
Good.
that sounds like a great choice.
All right. Well, and that's the thing that we'll put out there to people is if you're looking and you book an Airbnb or a VRBO, there's lots of time you can cancel it without any charges. I know with Clearwater, there was a discount code for some of the hotels that wanted to support Nationals. If something like that comes out from you guys, that's a place where you could cancel one and book another and do that as well. So we're kind of getting towards the end of the questions we had here, but one of the things you did mention it earlier was volunteering. So, hey, somebody wants to come out, they want to come out for the vacation, they've got maybe another person that's with them that's playing, they just want to come for the ride. If they wanted to be part of it in another way, they could volunteer. And are you guys going to have on Disc Golf Scene or something, a way for people to sign up for that?
Yeah. I mean, that's another logistical thing that has to happen, right? You've got the disc golf happening, and then you've got all these things happening after disc golf, coordination of volunteers at 4 different courses. It's going to be something that will have to be organized well. And anyone that wants to volunteer, we would happily accept them.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And I know from talking to Andrea Michaud, she tends to play a lot of tournaments, volunteer, TD and that. And, she just had so much energy for helping volunteer and enjoyed that. It sounded like almost as much as playing a tournament, hey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just wanted to bring
she's a rock star.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just wanted to throw it over to the chat quickly here. We got Dina Talgoy in the chat here. She has just noticed that Paige Pierce posted today that she intends to play Canadian Nationals. So you don't have to announce it. She's got her intentions to play. That's so early on in the season. She could break her ankle by then.
No, what are you talking about? Well,
No.
That was awful.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Well, the thing I was going to say is, you know what it was, is that when you see her video that she posted on Instagram today about her putting, she's in Pensacola, Florida, I think is where she's at.
Right.
And she's got snow on the ground. And Joe Henderson was saying more snow than there was actually in Calgary. So maybe she was like, yeah, I can go up to Canada again. If I can handle this snow down here, I can get up there. So,
Yeah. I'm sure she'd love to come back up.
yeah, and get
She
to
didn't
play.
get a chance to play last year. I'm sure it's on her list.
Yeah. Well, guys, one of the things is we kind of hit most of the questions that we had, and I don't know if we missed anything you wanted to put out there, but I wanted to give you each a moment here to kind of let us know, is there anything else you want to shout out about Nationals? I can tell you, I've been excited about it since I heard it announced at Clearwater last year. I knew I was going to come, and then now that we've booked our VRBO and then registration's approaching, I'm just full of excitement. But what else do you guys have if there's anything we missed?
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good coverage there. I'd like to maybe give a shout out to all those TDs. This is my first big tournament, and there's a lot of things to think about. We're knee deep in decisions, and it's going to take a massive effort by all the owners just to make sure that this is amazing for everyone that shows up. So way to go, all those TDs that have already paved the way for us.
Perfect.
And I should probably do my duty. This is an event that is going to require sponsorship, and luckily, right off the top, Innova Disc Golf is come on as the title sponsor for the tournament, so they're contributing, with cash, with merchandise support, and also with a bunch of logistical support through media and through some of the assets that we have it in Innova Disc Golf. But like the RIP, we're still going to be looking for a bunch of other industry sponsors to perhaps step up and join us and help support this national event so we can make it as good as we can for everybody. And, I know Kevin, myself, Gabe, and the two Dans from Cedar Creek, in the next week or two, we're going to be focusing in on trying to get some local sponsorship and some support. So if anybody has any ideas or, wants to engage with us in that, or perhaps be part of the Fly Mart, anytime now is a great time to reach out to us and see what sort of fun things we can try and work into the programming so that everyone gets well represented and feels like, they're able to contribute a little bit. So that'd be really nice to see.
Nice. We just had one. I think you may have just kind of touched on it there. We have a question from the chat. Do you know who might possibly be doing some of the stamp art? Would it be in a sponsored event?
Ooh. Okay. No, not yet. So,
Okay.
we do have a bunch of good Canadian artists that we're probably gonna, reach out to a couple of them. I think I've seen Judge Havoc's name come up there, and John
Yeah.
Bromett helps out with stamps around, and then out on the Double Ram out on the West Coast. Um, these are these things where I run tournaments and I pay these people for this, so this will be part of it. That's the way I like to work with them, that they get compensated for their efforts, and
Yeah.
I know they all put in way more time than what they end up charging typically. So we are working on that. Innova Disc Golf is part of the media and design and marketing department, is helping us with a general logo for the event.
Right.
But that's just like a print logo, social media logo, and the like. I'm still
Right.
hoping to lean on artists to come up with some very, couple fun options for us for disc art. Discs will obviously be part of the player pack, probably some apparel items, some fun things. And, so
Yeah.
those are things we're still working out.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, we do know that you've already earmarked us down for karaoke night. Taylor Swift night is what I heard. I don't know what you guys heard. So I heard that. And also, too, we're hoping to bring out our gear as well, Darrell and Kevin. So, when we're not playing, there might be some opportunities, whether we're doing our episode that week out there or maybe able to do some interviews, that kind of thing. So we'll try to bring as much attention as we can to help with it. But just wanted to throw that out there to you as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Well, guys, we appreciate you being on the show. If there is more news that you want us to get out there, just feel free to reach out. But we appreciate you taking the time, especially down in Mexico and in warm -20 Ontario. We appreciate it, guys. All the best. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Thank you.
for having us.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, Darrell, are you excited about Nationals now?
Oh, I was already excited, Jeremy.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good.
Weren't you? I mean, I've never been to Nationals, so this is a first for me.
Yeah, well, me being at last year's Nationals and getting that experience out in Clearwater and really seeing what the community is like, because that's the stuff that everyone has to kind of think about. You can talk about players packs, which we really didn't get into.
Right.
You can talk about what courses am I going to play. You can talk about all of those things. But what you don't realize is when you get this many disc golfers together, it's always going to be a good time. You've got so many great people. You're going to get a chance. What other sport do you get to go to where you can go and meet all of the pros and walk up and get a signature on a disc, shake their hands, take a picture? Usually you're kept a distance away from them. But
Yeah.
not in disc golf and not at Nationals.
There you go. And, for those people that are used to playing 2 rounds in one day on a Saturday and 1 on a Sunday and then you're done, This is going to be 1 round a day. You get there early on a Wednesday, you're going to be able to do, all the events that's happening. Friday, Crokinole, Saturday, Crokinole. You got the Wombat Challenge. You've got parties and drinking, it sounds like, so you know where to find me. You got Jeremy over at the karaoke. It's not just a disc golf event, it's more like a disc golf festival.
Yeah, that's right. When
Yeah.
you do all of that stuff and then you just want to come over and shake it off, you know where I'll be. But the other thing too, Darrell, is I think I want to go up against you in the Wombat Challenge is what I want to do.
We both bag wombats.
We do. And I have a lot of MVP and Axiom, but I definitely have a Wombat. And you've seen me throw that thing pretty well, I think.
But I think you have to use the glow wombat. You can't use your own, so it'll be a new disc for you.
Okay.
But yeah, okay, I'll take you on at that.
Yeah, that, and I believe too, Colleen and Brooklyn, if the offer
Yeah.
still stands, they're going to try to take down Chain Out in a doubles competition. So
Chain out doubles. Yeah. We're excited for that one. I think I'd be more excited about that than probably how I would be playing in the tournament.
yeah, there you go. That'll
Yeah.
be something. We'll have to get some video of that for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, remember that registration is Groundhog Day, February 2nd. Get ready. Register.
It's about a week away.
It really is.
Yeah.
So get out there. Come
Start
join
planning.
us.
Yeah.
I don't think we have room in our VRBO. We're not going to take extra guests.
Nope, we're full.
We're full. But we could definitely catch up with you, have a beverage, or have a meal, something like that. We'd love to do that. And what better place than out in beautiful Ontario? Now, what do we got else here, Darrell? I guess this is where we do our plea.
You can do the wrap up.
All right, I'll do my plea to our listeners.
Yeah.
If you like what you see and you want more of this and you want to see more great guests, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram, like our stuff, comment, do all of those great things. It really helps us out. If you've done all that and you've told a friend and had them do it as well,
Yeah.
then maybe check out our link tree and buy us a beer for a one-time sponsor, or check out our Patreon and you can join us there for more additional content. And then the last thing, as we mentioned before, is that you can always use Chain Out at Cardinal Disc Golf for 10% off your purchase, and that supports us as well. Whew, I ran out of breath.
You're doing good.
So thanks to all our Patreon members as well. We appreciate you, and be sure to stick around.
Stick around.
We're going to be back in 15 minutes?
Somewhere around that.
Yeah, 15 minutes. Go over to our Patreon. There will be a link there for you. Click on that and join us. And you can watch us live. We're going to talk to Dina Talgoy of Dina Dyes Discs. And other than that, Darrell, when we get there and we've got those wombats in hand, 2 glow wombats, 2 amazing Chain Out guys going up against each other, one-on-one. We're in the, a 10-foot distance from that basket, and then we got to have a putt-off from 10 feet. You've got a wombat. I've got a wombat. Well, it's a one-disc challenge, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're putting with our wombats. It's glowing. We're going to go for it. I'm going to get that one. It's going to go right in, and there's only one thing yours is going to do. There's only one thing it could do.
And what's that, Jeremy?
It's going to chain out.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
You bet.